Let's say I'm competing and there's one more person here, one more person over here, alright? We three are competing and we get 8 minutes to brew it. If I see this person making the same kind of a recipe and this person making the same kind of recipe, so these two making the same recipes, I definitely will tweak my recipe and ensure that it is tasting good. Okay, so now you've registered for the Aeropress Championship, you've also signed up, you've gotten the coffee, you've brewed it in different ways, and now you're at the venue. So you're super nervous, you're excited, you're nervous, and in all the nervousness, you basically forget what your recipe was. Does not mind at all, does not matter at all actually. All you gotta do is, first of all, enjoy the entire process because you'll meet a lot of people, you're gonna meet a lot of people. Also for new people who are not used to the equipments, at the venue there will be a coordinator who would help you with the equipments and help you how to start the machine, how to start the grinder, how to play with the kettles, how to start the scale. Sometimes it becomes complicated. So you don't worry about that. At every venue there will be a coordinator. For sure in Nagpur there will be a couple of coordinators who would be helping you out with all the equipments that we've got. So you figure out the equipment, you've gotten the coffee. Now just ensure that you start mingling around with people, and the most important thing, you see what recipe people are doing. Alright, try to figure that out. It is kind of a cheap hack or a cheat hack, but that is how actually you will get to know how to be different in a good way. So at the Aeropress Championship venue, in my regionals, I remember I was looking at the recipes, and over a period of time, after just looking at the recipes, the technique and the water temperature and the ratio and all these things, you kind of get to know where that coffee is heading towards. Would it be mildly acidic? Would it be bitter? What would it be? Just keep an eye exactly which cup is winning. Alright, so that basically gives you a clue as to what the judges are liking. Fuck, this is a very important piece of advice.
Yeah.
No, so basically you gotta understand what the judges are liking, alright? I am not at all saying that that is the only way to win it, but when you're winning, there are a million variables. The entire point is that you get those variables in your control, in your command, alright? So these are few things that you should be taking care of. You gotta be street smart about that. Also be ready to drink a lot of coffees, so keep drinking a lot of water. And don't eat something which is very spicy or which is very hot just a few hours before the championship. It's very important. Also, do not be empty stomach because you'll be having pangs and then your taste buds start blocking out and blah blah blah. So you don't want to be hungry, you don't want to be super spicy food you be eating, like especially when you're in Nagpur, you end up eating a lot of spicy food, but you don't want to do that. Anyway, so you're at the venue, you reach there, you're having those nervousness and you go through all these things, you go through the equipment. The coordinator helps you up with making you feel comfortable, all these things, and now starts the real stuff. You get to know the championship mode. So the championship mode is starting. What happens is there are 50 participants. There will be chits that will be given. So you'll be given allotted a number, and randomly those numbers will be picked. Every venue has got a different system, but more or less this is how it is. A chit will be picked up, and probably 3 contestants in the beginning would be picked up. So say 1, 15 and 45 are picked up, and then basically these 3 are going to compete against each other. That's how it goes. Remember one thing, very 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 important. If you lose in the first round, let's say if you lose in the first or second round, do not walk out of the venue, because there could be chances that there will be a wild card. Alright, so remember that there could be a wild card entry at a lot of venues. They must not have announced earlier, but it so happens that there are chances that there are a lot of wild card entries that can come up. Alright, so don't leave the venue till the end of the show probably. Speaking of wild card, so in 2017, Paulina, she won the World Aeropress Championship and she was picked out of the wild card entry. She lost in the first round or second round something, and she was picked up from the wild card. So that was something which is really insane. So don't walk out of the venue, very very important. Now let's say you end up competing in the first round, all right? What happens is whenever you go first, you kind of going in a very blind zone because you don't know what kind of coffee people are liking or the judges are liking. So you can't do much about it. But ensure that when you have brewed, so this is where your homework comes into play. Just keep an eye around as to what the other competitors are also making, all right? I wouldn't in this competition say stick to your thing, your recipe or your this thing, because an eye around will be a bonus for you, all right? Like I wouldn't recommend the same in the world Barista Championship or World Coffee Roasting Championship. I wouldn't recommend that. But here, I think you gotta keep an eye out as to what the other competitors are doing, so that you do it differently and you kind of get to know how. Alright, just one, I'll make it very easy. Let's say I'm competing and there's one more person here, one more person over here, alright? Or one more person here, one more person here. We three are competing and we get 8 minutes to brew it. If I see this person making the same kind of a recipe and this person making the same kind of recipe, so these two making the same recipes, I definitely will tweak my recipe and ensure that it is tasting good. So let's say if they're using a temperature of 94 degrees Celsius, which is maybe turning out bitter, just an example. What I would try to do is I would try to accentuate the acidity so that my cup is a little different but also very tasty, alright? So that is something that you definitely have to remember when you go in first. Let's say you're going in the second round or third round or the fourth round or whatever it is. Try tasting all the winning cups and try tasting all the cups that have been there. At a lot of venues, you will get an opportunity to taste all these cups, alright? So keep your spoon handy with you and just go and dig into the spoon, dig into the cup. Just have some courtesy, don't rush into things. Just have a sip, move aside, and remember which cup won and just make a mental note of it.
What if they do the same? What if they have the same plan?
They will be waiting. नहीं तू बना. Yeah, now if it so happens that everybody is watching this video, all three competitors, and they'll be waiting for each other, then I don't know. Then I don't know what to do. But yeah, if that is happening, that means the YouTube channel is going well, right? So when you are competing, just ensure that you are used to the weighing scales, you're used to the kettle, you're used to the grinder, and of course you've got the Aeropress. What happened with me at the World Aeropress Championship, I'll tell you. When we were, so all the competitors were on the first floor and the competition was happening at the ground floor. They had a big venue. What happened was, when we went down, the power was distributed between a lot of equipments, because of which the kettle was not heating up well. And what happened was, my recipe was basically 89 degrees Celsius, but I had to start brewing at 85 degrees Celsius because till the 5th minute, the kettle was not even at 82 or 83, but I had to start brewing it. So ensure that you ask about the power supply and ensure that the kettle is properly heated up and you know all these equipment. You don't want to discover, because you cannot ask once you're standing over there. You cannot say that this is not working, or I don't know how to, this is not working, a different thing, but I don't know how to use this. Nobody's gonna help you. You're out of it. Now let's say you are competing over there and you got 8 minutes to give your coffee. Now there could be two strategies here. One is basically you want to brew it and your brewing time is 3 minutes and you start making coffee, and you want to basically brew 2 coffees and keep it over there and taste it before you present it to the judges, because your recipe is 3 minutes, so 3 plus 3, 6 minutes, you still have got 2 minutes extra. If that is a strategy, I can't help you much on that, because that's very confusing for me. That's something which is not mentally replicable. You get tired after a point of time. Imagine your first round, second round, final, and all that. It's not really replicable. I would rather say you make 1 coffee, be pretty sure about it even before the championship starts, and be smart enough to tweak around, alright? So, second option being that you made 1 cup of coffee, and if you know your recipes for 3.5 minutes, remember this: the coffee will be presented to the judges only when all 3 competitors, all 4, all 5, whoever is competing together, have brewed the cup. In my finals, what happened was, my competitor was about to get eliminated. He was reaching around 7 minutes 40 mark, and my coffee was ready by the 4th minute actually. It was 5th minute, I don't remember exactly, aisa kuch tha, but it was ready, and I was really worried if this guy gets disqualified, I'm winning with no competition basically. And secondly being, if he presents it so long, my coffee is getting cooled down over here. So you gotta keep that factor in mind. That has happened in the World Championships also. Many people had a recipe of 3 minutes, but the other competitors used 7 minutes 55 seconds, and then by the time this coffee was getting cold. So kind of have a sweet spot because all cups go together. So they will be not. It won't be like first come first served. Everything goes together. So remember that it's a very very important point. Remember the number you've been allocated. If you are a person like me who's got fucking dyslexia any moment, so you will always keep forgetting what the number is, because that happened with me in regionals also, and that happened in the nationals finals also. Like, I was not celebrating after my number being called out because I thought I lost. I didn't remember number. Anyway, remember your number. You got to remember the number that you've been allocated. And what happens is, if you keep winning, which is great, right? You keep winning, there's a fatigue that starts kicking in. I remember in the regionals, in the last round, I was like, again going through the grind entirely. The trick is to actually enjoy, to be very, very, very honest. You can have a lot of banter going on. There will be a lot of banter going on, by the way, alright, from other competitors, other companies, other team people, and supporters of your competitors, but that's how it goes in the competition. So you can't sulk in that, like, hey, meko kya bol diya, sort of. That's the fun of it. So have your entourage also with you. But what happens is, like, once you start going on to the next round, so remember, you were first competing in the regionals. There could be like 8 rounds, 10 rounds, whatever. Then you go into the nationals, where there will be another entire set of rounds. Then you go to the World Championships. There's going to be like crazy amount of stuff going on over there, and then you reach the finals over there. So that's a lot of yeah. So there will be a mental fatigue, but oh fuck. Okay. So there will be a mental fatigue kicking in. Just ensure you keep drinking a lot of water, and you know where the washroom is. Alright, these two things are super important. Oh, by the way, shit, why did I say that? I'll tell you. In the World Aeropress Championships at South Korea, Seoul, Edaya Coffee, if I'm not wrong, the washrooms were like super far. Like they were super far, and there were beers flowing, there was coffee beers happening, there was a lot of things, and everybody's drinking and all that, and you're drinking a lot of coffees. And there's a huge line for the Aeropress, huge line for the washroom. So just small tips. So yeah, so there will be a mental fatigue, but just enjoy. Just keep your calm, cool, enjoy. Keep the bigger picture in mind. That's very, very important. If you represent India, nothing like that. So just keep that in mind. So I'll share my experience. I was very chilled out, very, very, very chilled out in my regionals. Extremely, there was no fear of losing or excitement of, no, there wasn't excitement of winning, but it was just happening. Then even in the nationals at Bangalore and Coffee Mechanics, a huge shout out to them. So there, till the final round, alright, till the last two, I was absolutely chilled out. Like, in fact, I was behind the bar having a lot of banter with the competitors' entourage, alright. So that was pretty much fun to see. But what happened was, in the finals, all of a sudden I went silent. And I was like, shit, itna dur aa gaye, to ab jeetna hi padega. You know, that kind of thing kicked in. And I was actually nervous. I was really nervous, man. I remember that. Final mein aisa lagi, fuck. Yeah. Abhi to jeetna hai, you know, like, abhi to jeetna hai, kuch bhi ho jaye. That kind of a thing. Another tip is, if you're traveling to other city to compete, ensure that you've done your flight bookings, your stay, and your hotel is nearby. That's a very basic one, but it just makes things very easy for you to get that done earlier. Another thing, you can compete in a lot of regionals, alright? So if in case you end up losing one, don't get disheartened. Next, keep moving. So it's not really, because a person in Chennai can compete in Nagpur, a person in Nagpur can compete in Delhi. Pramod agrees with that. Then let's get a little technical about stuff. If you want to carry your TDS meter, which can check the water TDS and a few other tests that you want to do, you carry that with you, no worries, alright? I'm going to talk a little bit about water. You should actually carry your TDS meter so that you get to know exactly what and how hard or soft the water is. You can carry your own water recipe as well. We'll put down a few recipes in the comment section, which you can start doing it at home and build your own water basically. If it is very new for somebody that why are we speaking about water being this thing, remember water is like 95% of the coffee, actually more. So that is going to be extremely important. Another thing, if you don't have these equipments, or if you don't want to go for the TDS meter, all these, you don't want to make your own water, it does not give you an added advantage, let me tell you that. Alright, so don't think that once you've made your own water you're gonna win. That's not it. It just gives you an ammunition, and it depends on, again, how you're gonna use that. Whenever you're at the venue, ensure you taste the water. So I actually, at the nationals, I was just cupping the water for a bit, and when I was doing that, I saw like 3-4 people, others also started to taste the water. So, but they were tasting and they did not know why they were tasting, basically. But then you need to taste the water, that is very important. And the same thing happens at the World Championship, because water keeps changing everywhere, right? So ensure that you taste the water and again, taste the water not just at the cold temperature, but also at the hot temperature as well. Don't slurp it at the hot temperature, but sip it. Groove sifter we are talking about, just to check how the grinder is, because at a lot of venues there'll be old grinder, there'll be new grinder. Your grind size that you're using for your recipe back home could be different as compared to the new grinder that you're using at the venue. So that comes into the familiarity of getting familiarized with the equipment at the venue. So be early at the venue, start working out on the equipments part of it. Also, the most important part and point is visualization. That goes unsaid. Try to visualize that you've already won the championship. Try to visualize that you've got your recipe right. Try to visualize that your bribe has gone properly to the judges. But visualization is super important, alright? So make sure that you visualize. That's something which is very crucial. Anyway, so we're wrapping it up. We're not getting paid for all these videos at all, neither from Aeropress, neither from anybody. So please share, subscribe, like this entire thing, and